Hello and welcome to Guild Chat. As always, I'm Wes.
I'm Kyle.
And we got a friend here, Matt, as our special guest.
I'm the other Matt.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Other Matt.
Other Matt. Right.
Yeah.
I guess depending on who you're talking to.
Well, we need to make it clarified. Well, we brought it up in the past that there's
Matt P. Matt D. This is Matt P.
Yeah.
P.
Oh God, no. Yeah, it's gonna be one of those.
Yep, it's going to be that. I know.
Yeah, just so you're aware.
So,
Hey, you'll need more
I'm gonna cut
storage.
hello and welcome to Guild Chat. As always, I'm Wes.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Matt.
Yeah.
The other
Howdy, Matt.
Other Matt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I should
other
clarify. I'm the other Matt.
Matt. Yeah. Matt P.
I think we've been over it in the past that we've got multiple names here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Non-bodyguard Matt. I guess we could go with that.
Yeah. If you got to see the first episode, I'm the unlicensed. I do not have the bodyguard license.
That's true. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
No less of a bodyguard, just
Right.
Un-
right.
un-
No, I'm
unlicensed.
not officially.
You probably wouldn't want me as a bodyguard.
with that, you're one of the store owners that helped actually start up the guild.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah.
Why don't you give us a little bit of backstory about how did that all come to be?
So, going back to the beginning, I was doing plays over the Punk Playhouse, light design, I touched on that, but I mostly did sets and ran tech and stuff at the shows. Doing a show called Angel Street, I met Matt Duplessis, and we were just talking one day, and I had to leave early, and I was like, hey, I'm going to go play my game. And he was like, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, I play an online, at that time, I think it was a second edition game.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
With
Yeah.
my buddy JP that you've mentioned before.
Yeah,
Who's got a fantastic mustache.
beautiful
Yeah,
mustache.
yeah. One day I hope maybe he can show up and
Yeah, me
be
too. It'd
here
be
for the
amazing.
podcast.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. I'd love to interview.
Yeah.
interview him.
So he was like, well, that sounds cool. I was like, yeah, I got to go play Wizard tonight, so I got to peace out early. And
Right.
he was like, oh, that sounds so good. And at the time, it was just a couple of us, so I was like, okay, well, I'll see. Like, hey, why don't you just jump in? And so he started playing, and that campaign went for 3 years.
Oh wow.
Mm.
Yeah.
But during that time, we were like, we should go play like something real, something because online's fun and it has its place. But personally, being around the table,
Oh yeah.
it
For sure.
feels so much smoother.
Mhm.
And
You got to be within dice throwing distance.
yeah, and the
yeah.
experience of everyone seeing the dice. I mean, you can do it on the screen too, but like I don't know, here
It's
following
not
real
the
dice
same,
makes
yeah.
a complete different situation. And so we went down to Night Arms when they were doing some what is it called in Pathfinder? Not Adventure. It's Society, Pathfinder Society.
Oh,
so it was just
right,
like the
yeah.
Pathfinder Adventure League.
Adventure League.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And on the way down, Matt's getting all excited. I'm like, I'm just gonna play regular human guy, like eat something easy. And
Yeah.
Matt's like, I'm gonna be my goblin gunslinger. And we had his whole story in his head on his way down. It's a silly little one shot, but
Right.
and we get down there and not really knowing about society and stuff. Like Eventually, you can't just pick the crazier
Whatever.
races. Yeah, it's
Right.
got to be these 10.
Yeah.
And immediately he was just like, oh man, and so he had to switch to a dwarf gunslinger, and so
Not as cool. Not as cool.
yeah, and he kind of took the wind out of his sail a little
Yeah.
bit, and so on the way back, it still was fun.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
But on the way back, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna run a game. I'll just run something. You can play your goblin gunslinger, and so, man, that was our Sunday game until COVID. We haven't really got it. People have more obligations now. Obviously, the guild and
Right,
kids
right.
since then, and but right after that, we started. We got a few other people and started a Sunday campaign. Excuse me, and he played Ibby, the Goblin Gunslinger.
Ibby.
Ibby,
Ibby.
yeah,
All right.
That sounds about on brand.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which yeah, he played that character for quite some time. He eventually transitioned into something else. But
Yeah.
So during that time, we were up late one night. It was probably 2 a.m, just BSing after the game, and
Like you do.
yeah,
Yeah, oh, yeah,
and a
oh,
few
yeah.
of us were talking. It's like, man, it'd be so cool. Like, we've got all this stuff now because everyone was contributing. You buy a book or
Sure.
Right.
a module, or whatever, and it's like we
Right.
have all this stuff. It's expensive. Like, what if we had a little room people could come rent and use everything? Like, we could get more minis and just like that was the
Yeah.
whole idea. It was like one little room.
Right.
And
Community
so,
D&D.
yeah. We actually went and looked at City Central had just opened.
Oh, that's
And-
right. Yeah. I forgot you were telling me about that.
And we went and talked to the illustrious Cat Long, who we had some other ideas we brought to her about another project that's for a different day. But in that meeting where we had talked about this idea we had, she was like, you seem kind of into it. And we're like, we saw an opportunity we might look into. And
Yeah.
she was we got to talking about the space upstairs and how like cool that would be, like for a convention one day.
Sure,
Because she was
yeah.
talking about it, and we were like, oh yeah, we talked about renting a room here and there somewhere, and
Right.
letting people use it and having all their stuff. And she was like, why don't you do that? Why don't you start a business with that? And we were like, oh, I guess. I mean,
Right. Yeah.
yeah, and so we all started getting real excited about it and started going over stuff and like, oh, we might, this might actually be something cool. Like,
Yeah.
we didn't want to do something crazy. We wanted to start small. And
Train!
there it is.
Right
there it
on
is.
cue.
I'm so happy to be.
Yeah. Now you've
christened.
experienced firsthand.
Yeah, I should also mention I am also the editor of
Oh
all
yes,
the videos.
Yes.
So whenever they're talking to the camera, the little guy that lives in the camera, that's me.
Yeah. Which is gonna be weird now. How are we gonna address?
I don't know. Yeah, and it's gonna make mess
third
with you
person.
more.
Yeah.
I hope I don't have to.
Matt,
talk to
put
myself.
something
I can
weird
make
above
notes
his
to
head.
Myself.
Yeah. Notation here, not to say that.
Yeah. Oh God, what was I saying? So yeah, we were talking about the business, and we just like, yeah, we'll try.
Yeah.
And then so there was a little building just north of here. This is our new place, but there was a little tiny building, and it was cheap to rent, and so we were like, well, that's affordable. Like,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
only need a little bit of room. And then everyone we were telling, like, we have this project, we're getting off the ground. We're trying to build a little hype about, like, what's happening. And they're like, well, you're going to sell stuff too, right? And we're like, well, we hadn't really thought of that. It was like a space to rent. It was more of a
Right.
venue.
Yeah.
And we're like, we hadn't, I guess. So do you want to buy stuff? And
Yeah.
we're like, well, yeah. And it's like, okay. So we eventually started carrying board game and, dice bags and
Yeah.
RPG stuff. Because Matt, as much as he plays 5th edition and will run anything for anybody, that's not his
Bread and butter.
Oh no,
Yeah.
he likes some of the old gritty I'm sorry, like some of the older stuff, like
Yeah.
what is that? The vampire one.
Vampire the
Oh,
Masquerade.
gonna be
Yeah,
Matt-
from White Wolf. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's his jam. And
Best RPG ever. Just throwing that out.
Gotta give your love to the dark world of
Yeah.
darkness.
Only werewolves though. Fuck
Which-
vampires.
No, I'll take all of it.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's all good.
which I really wish you'd run one. We have to wait, don't we?
No,
No,
it's
we're-
fine.
we're-
yeah,
we-
yeah.
We're over it now.
Yeah, it's just frustrating.
Well, it was just a dun 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 dun,
Yeah.
and I'm like,
It's trying
that's.
to talk to you. It's Morse code.
We were just talking about that.
We were doing the news.
Oh, no.
And Wes was like, "You reckon that's Morse code?" And I was like, "Hold on, let me see if." And I'm legitimately listening, trying to see if it was, and then all of a sudden it's just dead silence. And I'm like,
Oh no.
"Okay, well, I don't know."
It's normally just a dun, and he was driving by earlier, and it was like dun 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 dun, and I'm
Yeah.
like,
He's literally never done that before, so I don't know. Right? Yeah. So anyway,
so we're not gonna address what just happened and
right.
carry on.
Oh yeah, you're
So
just
where
gonna
are we?
we'll just cut it right there. Note to myself, pick up here.
Yeah, but leave that part in.
Matt, leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Leave that
Yeah,
part
yeah,
in,
yeah.
Matt.
For sure.
Matt, definitely leave that part in. Also, Matt, leave
Yeah,
that part in.
right on.
So yeah, all right.
Wow. Yeah, we are.
Venue, yes, board games.
Yeah,
Matt,
we
Matt,
started selling stuff, opened, and eventually, a year and a half, 2 years later, we were able to move over here.
Yeah.
At 205 South First.
Yep.
And
Which we've kept messing that up for like a really long time.
yeah,
We were like 205 North for no wait, 301. No,
Nope.
that's not right either. Yeah, no, we finally got it out.
One thing I need to do is take 109 out of my phone for all the pizza places because I've
Oh,
almost
yeah.
sent pizza over there a few times now.
And they would take it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
So, but yeah, we just opened up and here we are. Now
Yeah.
we're getting into more cool things, and I'm
Oh, yeah.
excited. And
Yeah, I mean, and talking about the store down the street too, it was tiny.
oh
yeah.
yeah, I think it was 600 square feet.
Yeah, which sounds like a little bit, right? But then when you start putting in books,
Oh, for sure.
miniatures, shelves, like there was no room in there.
No, we had what 2-3 tables.
Yeah.
3 tables and then the gaming table.
Yeah.
The D&D table.
With the TV,
Yeah. So you basically had the congregation table and then the D&D table
right.
and then whatever other game was happening.
Yeah. We made it work though.
Yeah. Especially when we first started putting stuff in there. Maybe I can find a picture to toss up here.
The old.
Oh yeah.
That would be kind of fun to put in a little, little
there's still
retro.
stuff we'll pull stuff up from Facebook.
Oh yeah,
there's some the old moving in pictures,
Oh,
which the building looks pretty big at the
Right,
moment, and then
right.
you get the cases in there and those
put the
tables, and it's like, oh
counters
geez, that
and-
went real quick.
We need to do like a before and after. Too bad we didn't take pictures when we were moving everything out.
I think we took one.
Did you?
Yeah.
That was crazy because then you pull everything out because as you're putting it in, you just slowly put stuff in, right?
Oh, yeah.
You don't realize how much it's creeping. But then we pulled everything out all at once, and it was like gone, and that was wild.
Yeah, and you could just see like, oh, that feels so much bigger. In
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But no, it worked, and that was actually where I was introduced to the guild was down there.
Right.
The very first time I came in, and I think the first person I met was Duplessis, and then I met you shortly after that because I was asking about wet pallets, I believe, and I was like, yeah, I was talking to the dude with tattoos on his hands,
Oh yeah.
and you're like, oh yeah, that's the other Matt,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, that's not confusing at all, but yeah.
Yeah. The
yeah.
beginning of the other. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. But yeah, so you moved down here,
Mhm.
and which a lot more space.
Yeah.
Lot, yeah.
Yeah, we actually have a dedicated room now just to the RPG stuff, which is great.
Yeah.
And you can rent that out. And then we have a lot more storage in the back now for Warhammer, which we had a kind soul donate some Warhammer stuff, so we actually have a lot of really fun terrain.
Oh yeah. A lot of old stuff too that they don't even make anymore.
Oh yeah.
So which is really cool. Which he's awesome. Thank you. I don't know if I should name drop him or not.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
I don't
Let's
know.
not name drop people.
He's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what we'll do.
Hang on. I'm kicking my gain up a little bit. This is bullshit.
Unprepared. Hey Matt, make a note here and put a big point and say unprepared.
I'll just pause it and have a big arrow.
Yeah.
then- Cut to.
Yeah, I'm kind of used to it by now.
Are you doing better now?
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
doing better now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fun for people to see this technical side on occasion.
Yeah.
Plus,
Especially all the time because
I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
yeah. So anyway,
Yeah.
we have a bunch of stuff donated, and not only that, we have a ton of board games.
Yeah, which a bunch of those were a donation as well. Some a couple was moving out of the country for a while, and they're like, "Hey, we don't want to store them, we don't want to move them, just here."
Yeah.
And
awesome.
we were like, "That's cool." And so on occasion we get to break those out. It's hard. Some of those games are so hard to get people to play on a whim because you're like, "Hey, let's play a game." We had a program when we first opened. It was like you could come in, and it was silly. We charged like $5, come in and play a board game all day, or whatever.
Yeah.
But the first few people did it. They come in and they'd sit and do nothing for 30 or 40 minutes trying to figure out a board game, even if we had like a YouTube link to it.
Oh yeah.
And we were just like, this isn't working. Like we would refund the money because like they would just sit there and not
bad.
do anything.
Right.
They looked exhausted by just setting
They're like,
it
I
up.
don't even want to play anymore. Yeah.
And a few games, like we can set up real easy, but if they just pick like, oh, hey, I want to play, dead of winter. I've never played it before.
Yeah.
Or they walk over
which
there and
you
pull
all-
out Twilight Imperium or something.
You don't like as the person doing. You're like, you don't have time for that.
Oh yeah.
You
No,
know,
no, no, no,
like,
no. Yeah.
And so we kind of did away with that, and just like if people came in and wanted to try something, we just let them.
Yeah. That's the problem. Kind of. I think I say that I have seen a few newer games come out that have simplified a lot of stuff, and I tend to lean towards those simply because.
Oh no.
No,
Are we
mine's
losing it?
weird. Yeah. Hang on. Technical issues.
Technical issues.
No,
Hey Matt,
okay.
if you can edit this, edit it out.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I'll
That
let,
Matt has to.
I'll
You
let
don't.
one of us figure that out.
Yeah. Future you problems.
yeah. That's future me.
Yeah. but yeah, so there's a lot of board games and things like that, and we are kicking around the idea of renting a DM as well.
Yeah. We are going to try some new stuff this year, and I think that's one thing. We have a couple people that are kind of interested in that gig. That are like, yeah, I'd love to do that. And,
Oh yeah.
I'm doing a lot of the technical stuff with the shop right now, so I'm like, I'm gonna probably back off on that one. But
Right.
I like the idea. Especially, it's hard to find someone who really wants that role. A lot of DMs.
Everybody wants to play.
Yeah, and so many players get thrust into the DM, either just nobody wants to do it, or they have a real bad experience.
Right.
And which is also terrible, because doing it out of necessity, isn't the best way to do it.
No.
But yeah, so we're hoping that'll help some people get into different RPGs, and we want to do other things than just like D&D and 5th edition. Like,
Yes, yeah.
So if you're not into elves and stuff, or fantasy overall,
Right.
maybe you can try
World of Darkness.
World of Darkness.
no, right? Yeah. Or like
Call of Cthulhu.
we played
Yeah.
Starfinder for a little bit, which is
Oh, yeah.
Pathfinder but in the future,
Right.
which I guess is still elves.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but you're future elves now.
Right. You got guns and stuff.
Yeah, which is fun. I love cyberpunk stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the aesthetic of just like you're getting more and more stuff put on you, and like you have this chance of going crazy. And
Right.
I think all that's fun.
Yeah.
So.
We also down there, don't we have Savage Lands, and
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think I saw GURPS down there.
Yeah, Savage Lands, isn't that like I haven't played that one, but it's kind of like a weird Western, like it's a
Savage
mythical
Lands-
Western, or
Savage Lands itself is campaign agnostic,
Yeah.
and they
That's
just keep
right, that's
releasing different campaigns for it.
Yeah.
And the big one is Deadlands, which
That's what I'm
is
thinking.
Weird
Oh,
West.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
what I'm thinking. I just had it mixed up there.
Yeah. There's a lot. Like I really want to do The Witcher at some point, which I just
You need to read the book.
yeah, that helps.
That world kind of seems cool to me.
I love The Witcher.
I like how there's magic, but it's very muted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's not. I mean, I'm sure I haven't read the books or anything, but I'm sure there's higher magic in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But normally not people control that, from what I gather from the books.
It's kind of weird, but what I like the whole aesthetic of it is like, because you play like D&D, right? A monster might not be that scary, to where it's like, oh yeah, it's a monster, but I'll just go kill it,
Yeah, it'll be all right.
Where Witcher is like, no, you can die, like that's something you don't want to do, and hence why they had to make Witchers, but
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, so plenty of RPGs and throwing that around, and we're talking about doing a Patreon and doing a subscription base kind of that way.
Yeah, you kind of subscribe to a campaign. That way it's
and it's guaranteed.
Everyone will yeah. Your spot's guaranteed, as well as everyone will be. I feel like more committed, because it's not going to be like loosey goosey. It's like, well, I paid for this, I'm gonna show up and play.
Right.
And which for me, the DM deserves that. Although they deserve some sort of payment if they're looking for it, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. It is basically a job.
It is, especially depending on how much they put into it.
Right.
And so that might also be another thing. Like for our free games, a lot of our, people will show up and just shoot from the hip, or you run a module for like Adventure League. It's always out of a book.
Well, and you always do a lot of monster hunting.
Yeah, because I found that it's easier for me just to show up and like, hey, let's just go kill a monster and not worry about, because with those games, a lot of times you have people that are here one week and then can't the next week.
Sure, yeah.
Back and forth, and it's, for me, the narrative is hurt a little bit from jumping in and out.
Yes.
You can't ever really pause because next week's like, they're gone.
I know that was the problem we had with Adventures League this last time, was just that, people just couldn't show up. And, life happens, of course. But, I think that was part of Cal's problem, was that, that he just wasn't able to kind of throw together something and be consistent with it.
Well, yeah, and was he was trying to run an actual campaign setting, I think, right?
Well, he was at once, and then he switched to
and then
Adventures
he switched
League.
to Adventures, and then kind of
and it's to me difficult. So I personally was like, well, I'll run you through a monster fight.
Yeah.
Bring in whatever character you want to throw.
That's something I was going to address, because there are people that just play random, goofy, silly characters, and when you have a monster fight, you can have somebody who's saying that they play, play a sorceress and attack a T-Rex with a dagger.
It was a warlock, not a
Oh,
sorceress.
I thought it was a sorcerer.
No.
You're right, it was a warlock.
No, and I missed.
Yeah. You missed?
I mean, I got
Was the T-Rex too small for you?
No, he just really sucked with the dagger.
Yeah. Apparently, I didn't know if you knew this or not, but warlocks are not proficient in melee weapons.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. I mean, that was new to me.
Oh, yeah.
No, I was
Bonus is he got to cast Eldritch Blast from its mouth.
That is true. Yeah. Inside the mouth as I was being swallowed.
Oh, I see.
So
I see.
yeah. And I missed with that too. Funny enough.
Oh.
Yeah. Good. But yeah. So what? So when did you start playing D&D?
Oh, my first introduction into D&D was, sixth grade.
Yeah.
I learned about it. I had no idea what it was. I had a buddy that came to school one day. We were locker mates who shared a locker.
Yeah.
And he was like, hey, I want to play D&D. I'm like, okay. I was like, I don't know what that is.
Sounds neat. What is it?
And so, like during whatever, the between classes, or we had a class together that didn't really, half the time you weren't doing anything.
Right,
You'd
yeah.
finish early or whatever. And so he broke out this one little character sheet thing that he had, and he had a single D20. And I don't even know what edition it was. I was so like, out of my element. I was just like, well, it's a lot of numbers you're adding up there. And I remember we went to my house, and like at the time, my brother was living there before he'd moved out, and we were like, hey, do you know anything about this? And of course, he was like, well, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And so he broke out, I want to say he had a book or he found something, but he tried to help us along a little bit, and I think it was just as much of a mess as when we tried to do it, because like I remember spending like 3 or 4 hours like looking at the shopping list stuff, like what you can buy from the merchant. It's like, well, I have 19 gold, I have to make sure I buy all this cool stuff, and so that's all we did. And I never remember actually playing the game. It was just sitting there buying stuff from the book, and I was just like,
you had a shopping episode.
And then skip forward to I lived in Weatherford, Oklahoma for a while. My wife was going to school out there, and so this is probably 2013. And no, I'm sorry, that's when we were not in Weatherford. This would have been 2008.
Okay.
Sorry, I had to back that up a little bit. Ish. And I started working with somebody out there, and his name was Armando, which he went by Mando. And
smart man.
He was quite the fan as well. It's the only reason I knew the lore when I met you. I was like, I know what you're talking about. And so he introduced me really to like role playing as opposed to just like, this is D&D, he was like, hey, we want to play one day? And I was like, sure. And so he had a very specific style. He liked to do one-shots. He used the old cyberpunk system, which is very unforgiving.
Yeah.
Now, we didn't use like prosthetic or cybernetics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But he would start basically where you're sitting at the moment. So like he would start the game. It's like, hey, all three of us are sitting in this room recording, and like the zombie apocalypse happens.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so you just start like, what would you do? You're playing kind of like a fictional character of yourself because you want to remove like, what would I do? Immediately go to my house and like or find my son. That's what I would do now. But you kind of remove your attachments and just like, what would you do?
Right, to survive
in an action
basically.
movie,
Yeah.
And so you start playing, and you're like, we learned a lot in those games. Like, don't go to Walmart.
Yeah, no.
No, that's real bad.
Well, that's like that's why I like Dread so much.
Oh,
Dread.
yeah,
I love that game for that very reason.
Yes. So
About every time we
unforgiving.
played Dread has been, you're sitting here and this shit happens.
Yeah.
Which I think
is amazing.
I love it. I
do
like
too.
that idea because you're just like I played it like that once at my house, and I never saw Billy get so close to like a panic attack from like playing a game. And he was like, oh god. And then now, to be fair, in their defense, we played as we're in Ponca City, Oklahoma, which I'm not from.
Yeah.
And so they start talking about all these roads that are in the middle of nowhere and have no one. I'm like, so you're avoiding all the zombies in the zombie game I made for you.
Yeah.
And they were just fine for like hours because they're like, we'll just stay here in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like,
right.
okay, that's like
Now the dirt's zombies. Beat that.
yeah.
They start clawing from underneath the soil.
Yeah. And
God.
so they knew all these rural,
Yeah,
middle
yeah.
of nowhere streets and stuff, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, what are you talking about? Like, okay. And I'm pulling up Google Maps. I'm like, what? Why is there a road there?
Yeah.
Welcome
to small town Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Ding, 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 ding,
Yeah.
ding.
And so we started playing, and then we played more games there. Got introduced to a lot of different genres he would run, and we even played one-on-one. And if we had no one else, we'd switch back and forth.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah.
And so I just kind of learned role playing there,
Yeah.
with him, and we would run a few different games, and then really I didn't play again till that game online when we moved back to Tulsa at the time.
Many a year, then you would say.
Yeah, for a while now.
Yeah.
In different aspects. You've been you've been just kind
It's
of
just
leaning
been
over
slowly
slightly.
going over, so I got to
Yeah.
tighten this. So, future Matt. Hang on a second.
I'm leaving this in.
Absolutely. Okay, there we go.
There you are.
Well, I got a question for you. With you going over that, you're talking about the technical aspect and whatnot. Me and Kyle had been playing around with the idea, but we didn't really get too deep into it until we found out you were 3D printing as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That was not
yeah.
where I thought that conversation was going.
Yeah.
Well, you were just like, speaking of technical 3D printing. I'm like, we were just talking about RPGs, bro. Like, but okay.
3D printing,
3D printing.
models,
Okay.
Okay. All right.
We can do that.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
My train of thought is not broken.
Well, I mean, sometimes.
This is what I deal with, Matt.
What?
Yeah, future Matt. Wait.
Future Matt.
I mean, yeah.
Well, you kind of know, but now
I do.
well.
I'll know again.
Oh my God, is this like parallel universes right
This
now?
is Inception.
Oh, wait, are we in the dream?
We planted the mat in the mat, so Matt.
I don't
can
like
take
that. Or is that the dream?
Yeah.
So 3D printing.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3D printing. Yeah.
Again, my buddy got down in Texas. JP.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic mustache.
Yeah. Will was getting into it a bit, and I was like, "That's cool." Those they at the time, they seemed so out of reach.
Yeah.
Because when they were first coming out, it was such like a. I feel like it's kind of like when my parents saw like a microwave.
Yeah.
And they're like, this is something, only specific people are ever going to have.
Right.
And I think the first time I saw one, we went to A-Kon in Dallas, an anime convention.
Yeah.
And they had one person setting up there just showing how they worked.
Yeah.
And, he'd print this tiny little thing. He's like, and, if you were the lucky ones to come up right when he was looking for something, he'd print it and it'd take you like 4 hours. You can come back and get it. And at the time, I was like, "Oh man, that's so neat."
Yeah.
And then he was getting into it a little bit, and then
I said it.
you said it.
What?
Train of thought.
Oh,
Oh. But anyway,
Yeah.
Acon 3D printing. Yeah.
now we can just hear the train.
Yeah, all you
Yeah.
hear is
It's
Yeah.
undistracted.
once you're
Yes.
aware of it, that's all
Yeah,
you hear.
It's real bad.
Yeah, so he was getting into it, and he was upgrading, and he had been printing some stuff, and even bringing it up to the guild at that point. We have a few of the very first prints he did,
Oh, cool.
Oh, really?
and I was like, well, that's really cool. And he's like, yeah, hey, do you want to buy the old one? And I was like, I'm upgrading to this,
Mhm.
and so I bought an Ender 3 off of him.
Oh, yeah.
Which I still use downstairs. We
Yeah.
set up a print room, as you all know, and
Yeah.
helped me build.
Yeah.
And
We're building something spectacular.
oh
right
yeah,
now.
I can't wait
Truly
to
beautiful.
to
Yeah,
reveal
yeah. It's going to
that
be awesome.
it's gonna take
When
a
it's
while,
done,
but-
it is
Yeah.
going here.
Oh yeah, that would
Oh,
be
yeah, we
cool.
got to show it off. Yeah.
So we'll just let the hype happen on that.
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
just
We'll let
won't
that
say
build.
what it is.
That's a little seed for y'all.
Yeah, and so it's still chugging right along. I haven't really done much to it. I've added a couple little things, but
Yeah.
other than that, it's been great. And
Yeah, it's a
we've
workhorse.
printed a bunch of miniatures. We've printed a whole bunch of terrain for the store.
A ship, part of a ship.
Yeah,
Multiple
well,
ships.
yeah, there's an airship.
Yeah.
If I ever finish that, you can put it up here too.
Yeah.
Oh, my
It's
Lord.
huge.
Yeah.
If we put that airship up here, we'll have to get further off to the side so we can see the
I know
camera.
it's
Yeah.
dumb. So we've been doing a lot of the train, and then we got a resin printer,
Yeah.
which allowed us to get into personal minis and actual
Fine detail kind of minis.
stuff that because you can print a miniature on the filament printers, but wow,
They're a little rough.
yeah.
A little rough.
And so the resin ones really let you kick up the quality
Yeah.
and paint them, and they look just like anything else. And
Yeah.
Yeah, which yours is a little bit nicer than mine. I was actually downstairs looking at the difference in them, and you can see the striation lines in ours way more than you can see yours, which is, I think yours must be a little bit newer, or of course we got to knock off
yeah,
unknown brand, it was bad.
and now
we have to finagle an OBJ file just to even get it to work.
Yeah, you had to manually
I
type
wish
it
I
in.
could shout out what the brand of the one we have is. I can never remember the name of it ever.
It's the Yes one.
Yeah, I cannot ever think of
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
But
It's that one.
it's
Is it
one,
Createx or something? Or is that the one I was looking
you know what?
at online?
I'll put a thing down
Yes,
here
yes.
and
And Future Matt.
Future
yeah.
Matt. No.
Do that.
Yeah.
yeah,
alright.
note.
He can't
mention what it
remember,
is.
so you got to do
Yeah.
it.
Yes.
I do have a terrible memory.
Yeah.
so
Oh yeah. You should. Yeah.
it's real bad.
Yeah. If we don't write anything down, we don't mention it in the news. It's bad. It's bad.
I write things down and I don't mention it.
Yeah, but then I
That's
forget I
true.
wrote him down. So
Well, yeah. That's true. I'm real bad about that.
so yeah, 3D printing's been pretty fun. We do. We're gonna officially. We've been kind of doing it unofficially for a long
Right.
time, but we're gonna. If you bring in a file that isn't copyrighted, of course,
Yeah.
Right.
like something you got off Hero Forge or
Mhm.
there's a site Thingiverse. Most of that's free for
Yeah.
personal use.
Right.
But
But what if I want to bring in a whole Votan army?
No.
no, probably
No,
not.
that'd probably.
I
not
mean,
be
I guess if
free.
you commissioned someone to make your files for you,
Yeah. There you go. You can do that.
and they are
Yeah.
yours, you could probably bring them in. And
Yeah.
Just couldn't use them in a tournament.
No.
No, but like if you bring us a single file from like Hero Forge or something for like $5, I think we've been doing. You can
Yeah.
we print you a couple files for your character,
Right.
or a couple minis from the file. I should
Right.
say.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
No, the whole file.
Yeah,
All 18 minis in there.
Yeah. So, we
Yeah.
normally hit on board games too, as
Okay.
far as what is your favorite board game?
My favorite board game is Pandemic. I love the cooperative aspect of it.
Yeah.
I don't like competition a whole lot, so
Mhm.
when I found Pandemic, it's a very hard game.
Yeah.
It can be. A
Yeah,
very hard
yeah,
game.
Yeah.
And I think I've lost more to it than
Oh
my
yeah,
groups
yeah,
have won.
absolutely.
And I just love the even if you're losing together.
Yeah.
And like everyone's trying their hardest to pull it
This
together.
whole ship's
Yeah,
going
is
down.
there any way I can get this thing to you?
Yeah.
You know, and
Right.
I just like that feel of it, as opposed to
Yeah.
trying to like. Now I understand other games like espionage games and stuff where you're
Sure,
trying.
sure,
Someone's
sure.
the sneaky or the
Like Secret Heitler.
yeah.
I don't know if I can even say that. But yeah.
I don't know.
Or to go
YouTube might
back
not
to
like
it,
that
Dead of Winter with the betrayer mechanic.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at those games because I am just sitting there feeling terrible for being
the betrayer.
the whole
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
That
yeah.
they're like, something's off here. You're
Yeah.
not having fun. It's because I have to stab you all in the back. Like
you guys.
I
are
have to
not-
leave you to die.
I could have saved you, but I didn't because I
Yeah.
have to fill this
Right.
you know objective that I got. I'm like, I easily could have helped you right there,
Yeah.
and.
I really want to play the Star Wars pandemic system because it's Clone Wars, but it's pandemic.
Oh, it's,
And so instead of a virus, it's battle droids and things like that. So
The
I want
glorious
to check it out.
separatists.
is it? Yeah, so it's just all the different factions popping up as opposed to
Yeah. So it basically works the same way, other than instead of countries, it's planets, and then you have
Instead of viruses,
it's droids.
It's droids.
and then but there are like main bad guys like Asajj Ventress, Count Dooku, and things
sure.
like that. So like they're in it as well.
See, that sounds
so.
really cool. I like those kind of rebrandings where it's still
Yeah.
like
The
it's
core of it's still the
yeah,
same.
yeah,
Yeah.
But you get to play, you know, your Count Dooku or whatever.
Right.
No,
Right. Yeah.
I want to be a Jedi.
I do want to try. We've had them down there forever. I do want to try the legacy ones where it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
the storyline.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
kind of
pandemic.
scares me a little bit because in some of the stuff, it's like tear this card up and remove it from the game forever. And
Yeah,
it's like
yeah. Fortunately, a lot of those games now you can buy like the reset kits for them.
oh, okay.
They
Oh,
actually
yeah.
have released because people were like, I'm not paying your $80
Right.
and ripping up
Ripping
a card,
cards,
you know. And
yeah.
so
Right.
people were doing it themselves. Like, well, we'll just pretend we wrote, tore it up, or
Yeah.
we'll make a proxy and tear
Yeah.
it up. And then they're like, we should probably, it's like we could make these and sell them.
Make more money.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
And so, fortunately, that's kind of the standard now.
Yeah.
I believe is like there's the kits you can. The stickers are not permanent; they peel up. And
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah.
that, so
Which here pretty soon, we are in talks of doing a board game night here that we're going to record, and so
Yeah.
so
you're gonna be in that.
am I going to be in that?
yeah,
Yeah.
we'll do pandemic just for you.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll come in and do pandemic for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't get a say.
Oh,
Well, yeah, no, you're coming in.
okay.
Future Matt, you're coming in too.
Yeah,
Wait,
Well,
does that mean two?
no.
I don't know how
you're
that
you're
works.
gonna
That just
play.
means
you're-
I'll be there. I'm
You'll be
apparently I'm
player
editing
one,
that video. Is what
he'll
I'm
be
doing.
player two.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are some of your kind of like aspirations that you want to happen in the guild?
Oh boy. Warhammer's been really good. I've been trying to, mentally get more interested in it.
Yeah.
Right.
I tried it the one time, and I think I already went into it with kind of a dread.
Yeah,
Just because
that's fair.
there's a lot
That's
set
fair.
up.
Yeah,
I think it looks so cool, and like I like the minis and
Yeah.
the whole idea. Like I'm a StarCraft player. I love StarCraft so much,
Right.
and learning that it's basically tied to it.
Yeah.
I
Well,
was like-
StarCraft started out as 40K.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and just like the idea that I could play that on a board, I
Yeah.
was like, oh, this is cool. And then like tape measures started being pulled out, and I was like, oh boy.
Yeah.
Which, you have to give D&D, like you still have a grid and, you
Yeah.
can move X amount, but it seemed so much more micro. We'd like to really do some more events. I would like to do some more events. I really want to have movie nights.
Yeah.
It's something we talked about in the very beginning, and we've just never really committed to it because it is another commitment. Like,
Yeah.
but it gives us another opportunity to get people here and hanging out, and which is,
Really, what
Kind
we're
of the whole
point.
point.
Yeah, just-
yeah.
being here hanging out, which is why COVID was so fun. It's like, oh, we just
Yeah.
opened a store that like the idea is to mingle,
Right.
and like, oh, you shouldn't do that.
Yeah, and that's one thing is like recovering after COVID is a
Yeah,
big thing.
and so I think this year we're really going to try to push forward and get some more stuff out there.
Kind of a good reset.
And like this stuff, like I've been excited with the podcasts and the news updates, and I think that'll be real fun doing more of this stuff going forward as well.
Yeah.
We wanted to bring a point up to you that we have brought up to. We are going to bring up to every guest that comes on. What's your thought on the haunting?
I guess personally, I haven't had any interactions.
We're still doing a ghost tour, just so you know.
Yeah.
No, it's still happening.
That's actually, I think, one of our Halloween ideas is having some ghost tours.
Yeah, the bodyguard was talking about it.
We need to give him a name.
The bodyguard?
No, the ghost.
Gem.
Jim?
Yeah.
That's a wild assumption.
That is true. Could be a girl. I don't know.
Okay.
Wouldn't you hate to make that up and then it's wrong and then
he's like, no,
you get
my
pushed
name's
down the stairs?
My
or
name's
something?
Bob.
Yeah.
Why are you guys being mean?
Being a bunch of jerks.
I've had no personal situations, so I can't. I'm having a hard time buying into it. So,
listen, spend some time up here. It'll happen.
It'll happen.
Yeah.
Spend some time up here by yourself. So we had the idea to do this new show and a couple of the other shows that we're planning on coming out later this year.
We have in works. I know we approached Duplicity. I don't know if we approached you or not about the ghost movie that we want to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it would just be fun.
I haven't pitched it. I only half pitched it to Duplicity, which was funny because I didn't even have to pitch it. I was just like, we have an idea for a movie. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, hang on. It's a ghost movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
it's gonna be kind of a horror comedy. I said yes.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I know Billy's got all his. He used to do ghost hunting.
Right.
And he was like, "Can I bring my ghost hunting stuff?" And I was like, "Sure, man."
Go for it.
Yeah, of course. And
you can go upstairs and
that
meet
was
Jim.
I think that was what we were talking about for the Halloween
for a
thing.
documentary.
And doing like Halloween is having like ghost tours.
But we also have future plans of doing a different podcast up here and stay tuned for that. We're not quite sure when that'll happen, but
right.
But definitely putting some other content out as well.
Yeah, and maybe we could talk about stuff and things. Oh,
it's rough. So after that, I don't want to.
There might be some cuts for time.
Yeah, we better go ahead and shut it down.
All right, we'll shut it down. All right. So, do you want to end it? Oh God!
Don't kick things.
You do what I want.
Matt, edit that out.
No, keep it in.
Of you kicking stuff?
No, telling him to.
Oh.
Okay. All right. So, hold on.
So yeah.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell.
Bye. No, that's not how I wanted to end that, Wes.
Roll some dice.